afternoon, and good evening to you, the good people of the tube. Hope you are feeling grand and all is well in your world. Hi! Pathetic clicking there. Today, welcome to another episode of How to Play Like the John Frusciante. Today we are going to be talking about single note muting. Basically, can't stop if you have to ask, and they're the songs I'm going to cover. And at the end, I'm going to talk about the whole shreddy wah. I'm going to talk about how to do that as well at the end of the video. So, without further ado, let's get into can't stop. I'm going to teach you if to can't stop. I know some people out there know it. I'm going to teach it just for some people who don't. And then I'm going to talk about how to do the single note muting thing, how important it is to find your own way, how important it is to be nice and relaxed and stuff like that. So, let's get to it. Okie dokie, so can't stop riff. We start on the 7th fret on the A string, and then we go to 7th fret on G string, 9th fret G string, so that's the first one, and then back to the 7th fret on the A string, and you play that 3 times, and then back to the 7th on the G, and then 7th fret on, 9th fret on the G, and then you go back to your 7th fret on your A, and then you go to your open D string, so and then same thing again, 7th and 9th on the G with a D string, then you go to the 7th fret on your low E string, and then up to the 8th fret on your low E string, from the 8th fret low E back down to your 7th fret A. So basically what this riff does is it has a kind of reoccurring melody, which is this. Which is that, and the bass line moves around it. So it kind of like, you know, the bass is going. And you get the in-between notes. So, like I say, I'll do it really slow. So I don't want to spend too much time on this, because I want to talk about the technique itself of the strumming thing and the muting thing. So, starting again, 7th fret on the A string, play once, and then 7th fret G string, and then back to, then 7th and 9th, and then back to your 7th fret A string, 3 times. And then back to this note, so twice, and then hit your open D, you can always end it on a massive low E string, which is always fun. So that's the riff Can't Stop. So let's get talking into kind of like the strumming single note muting technique. Okay, so principle of Can't Stop really is, like I say, left hand muting. Your right hand has to be kind of fairly accurate to the string you want to hit hardest, but you are kind of raking all the strings. Like an example would be if I was to play 7th fret on the G string, you know, I just want that one string to ping out over the other. What I would do is I would put my thumb over the top to kill the E and A strings, so they're not ringing out. My first finger would then kill the D string, B string, and high E strings, so they're not going to ring out. So I can literally hit all the strings, and I get one note. So like that, and if I rake the strings one individually, you'll be able to hear that note ping out. And I say, when you hit it, you just get that kind of extra fatness. Instead of going, you can hear it just a bit fatter, because you're hitting all the strings. So, that's the basic principle of this, and what I would say is you kind of have to find your own way to do it. There is no kind of right or wrong way to do it. I will show you the way John plays Can't Stop, and then I'll show you the way I play Can't Stop, which is a little different, because I found I couldn't get on with John's way of playing it. I really struggled with it, so I had to find my own way. And I did for a long time do this. Because I couldn't do the strumming thing, but I'll get to that in a minute. So, let me show you the way John plays Can't Stop. So what John will do is he'll use his first finger on the 7th fret on the A, and then his middle finger will go onto the G string on the 7th, and then he'll reach his little finger over to the 9th fret on the G. So that's how John plays it, but I found that a little hard to do. So what I don't know, my fingers just didn't kind of like it so much. I've kind of got better at it, but I decided that I wasn't going to be able to do it the way he does it, so I had to find my own way. So what I do is my thumb's over the top, killing the low E, and I fret the 7th fret on the A, my first finger, and then I skip that finger down to the G string, and then I put my ring finger on the 9th fret on the G string. And that's how I do it. John does it like this. I do it like this. And again, it's like I say, it's very important to find your own way of doing this, because say my way might not work for you, John's way might not work for you. You might have to kind of like sit there and go, right, well, that feels uncomfortable, that feels uncomfortable. I might have to do it. Some people might do it with the thumb over top. I can't, but you know what I mean. It's just, you know, examples kind of thing. So you never know. Just kind of like experiment, find your own way of kind of you know, muting. So John would then move over to the open D, and then for the next for the B note on the low E, puts his thumb over and puts to fret that note. So he does that, and then his middle finger comes in to fret the C to finish off. Again, I oddly enough found it hard with my thumb to fret that note and be accurate with it. I would sometimes quite get the A string ringing out over the top, so I'd get that, which wasn't a very good sound. So I would use my first finger, and basically my first finger is just kind of like becoming a block, basically, of everything. So I'd use my first finger to do that, and then my middle finger to get to the C note. So John's way of playing it really super slow is like this. And my way of playing it super slow is like this. And my thumb came in there, which, I don't know, either way, doesn't matter. So that's my way, that's John's way of playing it, they're the notes. So let's talk about right hand technique now. Okie dokie, so key point in Can't Stop, if you have to ask many kind of John Funk things, is how relaxed your right hand is, how, you know, how loose your wrist is, and the attack. There's a lot of attack with John's playing. He hits the guitar hard, but he's relaxed when he does it. There's no, you're not going to get very far kind of, you know, if you've been tensed up like this and play Can't Stop, it's not going to come out very well. But if you ease this wrist off, just relax and nicely kind of like, you know, just go, you know, nice and relaxed with it. You know, just nice and relaxed with it. No, don't tense up. Just be nice and chilled with it. And the same kind of goes for this hand, really, but more in your wrist. And basically what you're doing is, as you come down, because you're muting all the other strings, your accuracy doesn't have to be 100% with this hand. That'll come in later with things like Can't Stop and the shreddy thing, which I'll get to. But for Can't Stop, because you're hitting all the strings, you can be kind of sloppy with it, so to say, really. And that's, you know, and that's kind of like respite, so to say, really. So you can kind of be quite sloppy with your right hand, but quite tight with the rhythm, if that makes any. I hope that kind of makes sense. You know, the rhythm needs to be kind of right. So, and you know, just practice doing that. Just, you know, fretting that 7th fret on the A string, and just hitting all those strings. and make sure only one note rings out. And that brings me on to kind of way to learn to play Can't Stop by doing that, is literally do it one note at a time, just downstrokes. So start with that one, then move to the next one. And just find where your hand needs to be to kill all those strings. So if you go for like that note, and it's fine, but then you go for the G, and say the D string rings out, like that, you know, you want to go back and go, right, why did that do that? So you figure like, you know, maybe your first finger wants to be on the D to kill it. So you only get out one note. And then just try again. And just gradually kind of go through the whole riff, just nice and slow with downstrokes. So getting that open D string is probably the hardest part of Can't Stop, to get that. To get that. So it's quite a good idea to just kind of practice finding where your fingers need to, you know, be to get that open D string nice and clean. So again, just go through nice and easy, nice and slow, don't rush it. You know, and once you kind of get the downstrokes right and everything's really clean, you can start adding the extra kind of rhythms and the up and down kind of strum. So kind of Can't Stop is, for the first three notes is downstrokes, and then the da-da-dun is down, up, down. And then it's kind of up on the 7th fret G, and then down on the 9th fret G. And then it's down, up, and then down to get to the D string. So down, 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 up. Hopefully that makes sense. And I say, you know, it is a case of just going over it and over it and over it again. It does take time, and it does take a lot of kind of like, you know, kind of a lot of effort to kind of get it right. But, you know, if you keep at it, you will get it. And just, you know, all these little things, just try single notes just randomly. Until they're totally clean. And again, this wrist being nice and relaxed gives you that kind of funky John thing. And that's another little exercise you can do. It's just like, you know, I'm just playing the 9th fret on the G string. And I'm just getting the scratches. Just pressing the note in every now and again. It just creates like a little kind of like cool kind of John Funk thing. Which is basically what this lesson's all about, really. It's like John Funk. John Funk! Okay, so that's basically the riff to Can't Stop, as I say, and it's just a case of, you know, nice and build up the speed and build up, like, you know, your wrist, you know, how you nice loose wrist kind of technique, really, and just your left hand muting. So that's kind of that. So I'll do Can't Stop really, really slow, just one more time before I move on to If You Have to Ask. So I'll try and do it with the Django Reinhardt technique so you can kind of see what I'm doing. So. Just start it off nice and slow and just gradually build it up and build it up and build it up until... And anything on that big low E is great. Okay, so that's Can't Stop. I want to talk about If You Have to Ask now, because this is kind of like that semi-muted funk thing that John does. And it's pretty simple. First finger goes on the 5th fret on the G, and your ring finger goes on the 6th fret on the B. and your middle finger is the muting finger here, and it goes up in between all of them, and basically kills the E and the A. Your D string is then killed by your first finger, and it's just pressing down the strings just enough to get the sound, just to get a note. They're not all the way down. They're not. They're just lightly pressed. And again, this is a practicing where you just kind of have to find the right amount of pressure. And John always used to say this comes from James Brown's school of guitar playing, where it's the guitar is more percussive than it is kind of like, you know, than being a guitar. It's been more of a kind of a percussive instrument because it's got more rhythm. So again, just experiment with different pressures. Different guitars have different pressures on the, depending on string height, string gauge. You need to kind of like, you know, learn kind of where your fingers need to kind of go and how hard they need to press down. I mean, I'm literally about 0.5 millimetre, if that, off the top of the fret. If I was to press all the way down, it becomes very kind of aggressive. But I'm not. I'm just literally, just like I say, about 0.5 millimetre above the fret. It's also very popular in reggae to do that kind of thing, where you just kind of like, you know, barely pressing down, so to say. You know, Bob Marley did it a lot. But anyway, back to John. So this is a really, really cool riff to forget your left hand now. Can't Stop is more your left hand. This is a great riff to focus on your right hand. Because like, it needs to be very loose, very fluid, and needs to really flow. So kind of rhythm you're going for, if I mute all the strings, is... And you can hear the kind of like those emphasis notes, which are really important. So slow it down. And again, don't be stiff with it because it won't come out. You know, that's tensed up. It just doesn't flow. It needs to flow. That's the key thing with anything of John's playing. Really, is it needs to flow. And guitar playing in general, really, you know, if you're too tense and you're being like, you know, stiff with your arms, stiff with your fingers, it'll sound really rough, and you know, it won't be very kind of nice to listen to. So, nice and relaxed. And to finish off, just put your little finger in on the 7th fret on the high. Just to finish off, that is one of the coolest riffs ever. And then the chorus is a really kind of good thing to do. Back to your single note, your left hand muting now, because you're strumming all the strings, and you go from the 8th fret to the 10th fret on your D, like that, and then you slide from the 10th up to the 13th, and then you go up to your G string, and you slide from the 8th to the 12th. And again, this is all happening while you're kind of like strumming all the strings. If I do it really slow with, I'll try and do it with 2 fingers. So you can kind of see that's more left hand, the rhythm is more right hand. And it almost makes it look like you're doing nothing with your left hand when you're muting strings. It's kind of comes back to that Jimi Hendrix thing of the way Jimmy would play things, which, you know, John was a big kind of student of Jimmy. So yeah, I hope that kind of covers that technique. And there is no easy, quick way of learning this. There just isn't. It just takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, and many, many hours of practicing to get it. So there is no kind of like, you know, don't be disheartened if you can't do it straight away. So that's how to do single note kind of like muting, really. And again, just take your time with it, find out what works for you, find out where this hand needs to be, relax your right hand, just get it nice and flowy. Don't get it, don't let it be kind of like jagged and rough around the edges. Nice and relaxed. You should, never play guitar if you're tensed up. It just, you're going to damage yourself somewhere along the line. So, nice and relaxed. Just keep it, as comfortable as you can for you. If it doesn't, John's way doesn't work, and my way doesn't work, find a way that does. You will find one, and you will get there. So, I hope that makes sense, and I'm going to move on to crazy wah-wah techniques now. Okay, a lot of people have asked about this wah-wah, the John thing, where he does this. That thing. And basically, what he's doing, this is a lot of accuracy in the right hand on this one, and again, really relaxed, never stiff. You're bending up. We'll say we're in the key of D minor, which is one of John's favourite keys, so you'll find him in this key a lot. What you can do is you're bending up your 12th fret on the G string up, and then you go into the 10th fret on the B, 13th fret B, and then pull off back to the 10th fret B. So that's the pattern. And it's just a case of speeding it up. So you get super fast, but your right hand has to be really accurate with just hitting those two strings. And I say, when you add the wah in, it just adds an extra little dynamic to it. John does do it sometimes without the wah. And you can hear the open G string pinging out, and that's totally fine. That doesn't matter at all. But so that's the technique, and you can do that on the B and a high E. It's the same principle. You bend up the B string on the 13th fret, and then you go to the 10th fret on the high E. 13th fret high E, pull off back to the 10th fret high E. And you'll hear that extra ring of the guitar as well. That's fine as well, because it just kind of gets, when you add the wah-wah in, it just adds kind of extra kind of noise, I'd say, and makes it a bit fatter. So you can kind of do those two. And again, it's just a case of... And again, there is no quick way to get this. It takes time and it takes a lot of effort to get it. And the wah-wah pedal, what you're doing is, as you're bending that note, you're pushing the wah up. And I'll give you a close-up of the wah in a minute. And so when you get to this note, the wah should be all the way forward. So all the way back, increase the wah. And then all the way forward for this bit. And then all the way back before you get to the... and you're just gradually increasing the intensity, and they're in rhythm with each other, they're in sync. And again, it's not easy, and it does take time and a lot of effort, and you can also add your DS2 into that. And it does take time and effort, and you are strumming just those two strings. So you're basically just getting that. I suppose that'd be kind of good exercise to do, is just kind of like strum those two strings, anchor your hand. And just do it like that, really. And you can do it on neck or bridge pickup, it doesn't matter, really. So yeah, that's the crazy wah technique. There isn't really much to it. It's just a lot of practice and a lot of time and getting your right hand accurate and speaking to your left hand in the right kind of rhythm, and your wah-wah as well, getting your foot going with the right thing. So again, I'll show you the wah-wah in a minute, but again, it is such a John thing. It really is just... It doesn't remind me of anybody else guitar-wise, it's just his thing. And and there's another one he does, which is this. Which is basically just double stopping, so fretting the B and the high E on the 10th fret, and then he's just bending up the 12th fret. And just increasing the wah every time he bends. Yeah, that's another little John thing. It's the beginning of Around the World, really, when he has his wah pedal on full tilt and just... You know, that thing. So, that's the crazy wah-wah thing. There isn't much to it. It's just a lot of practice, a lot of accuracy, and a lot of, you know... And again, my thumb's over the top. It's killing the E, A, and D strings with my thumb. So, but my thumb's barely touching with D string. And if it rings out, it's fine. It just adds extra noise and just makes it a little fatter. So, yeah, that's that really. So let me show you the close-up of the wah, what the wah is doing. Okay, so, I hope you enjoyed this video on the kind of, you know, single note John Funk, if you will. Because it is kind of John Funk, and it's his own thing, really. Kind of did definitely turn it into his own thing. Like I say, you know, do take your time with it. Don't rush it. Don't think, oh, I need to get this right today, because that ain't going to happen. It's going to take time and effort, and just, you know, just try those little things. As I say, we can't stop. Just go nice and easy, downstroke. You know, just take your time with it until you kind of like build up and build up and build up and get to the actual kind of like point. There's no point rushing it and getting it wrong, getting frustrated and going, I can't do this, and you forget it. You know, really take it nice and slow, you'll get there. And the same thing goes with, you know, if you have to ask with your right hand being nice and loose. I lost my voice then, I don't know what's going on. You know, be just nice and chilled with it. Don't force it. Let it, you know, happen kind of naturally, you know, and it will. You know, if you're forcing it, then you're going about it the wrong way. You need to just let it flow. It needs to just flow out of you. You can't force things to happen. It just won't work. So, and same thing with the crazy wah-wah thing as well. Don't be rigid. Be nice and loose, nice and relaxed. You know, just breathe and just take your time with it, because there's no point rushing it, because you're gonna injure one of your hands or your arms or some muscle in your arm or tendon or something. Just take your time, nice and relaxed, and keep going. So, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it's been informative. I always try my best. If it hasn't, you can come or beat me up later on. And yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again very, very soon for another video. Next John Frusciante video, I'm going to start teaching songs, and I don't know what song to teach yet, so if you've got any ideas, leave them in the comment section below, and I will see you again for another video very, 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 very soon. Thank you so much for watching. Hope it's been informative. See you again. Have a great morning, afternoon, good evening. Goodbye now.